We're 100 days from the election now, less than. I have a hard time believing the Wayfair thing based on the Russia. Mostly anything dealing with Russia, I have a hard time to believe.
You fill 1,700 pages, and maybe you'll want to write more of them. I mean, everything we're talking about, you could have a page and a half.
And maybe they'd read more of them too.
Yeah.
Because the long form discussion is taking over these news segments, are taking over these spoon-fed, prepackaged media sound bites that we get every day.
Media. Yep.
Do you think anyone on the left should have been blamed for this?
The insurrection?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the entire media.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Hey everyone, well, Dave here, December 1773. With me as always is Ryan. This is episode 57 and a half.
Yeah.
Of the weekly show. All the week's hottest topics with a twist. You can like, comment, and subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. For those who are wondering why I'm laughing 1 minute and 27 seconds into the episode, it's because it's 41 minutes and 37 seconds into the episode. Little inside story here. The round button that says record is the one you have to push when you want to film the show. So this is 57 and a half. Turns out we weren't recording for the first little bit. But the good news is Ryan still doesn't know what the last headline was.
Yeah, let's start there.
So I think we should just run through these real quick here.
I had the greatest misogyny stand-up routine ever.
So Ryan
shitting on women for like 5 straight minutes.
Well, luckily for everybody here, Ryan does not get tired of doing that.
Fuck, man. I can't believe a woman had her lover sleeping.
Hey, well, they don't know it yet, Ryan. They couldn't watch this.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah, I know they don't know it. I was on fire.
Stay tuned. It does get... there is a little misogyny towards the end. I want to get in our first headline of the day that Ryan is aware of, that no one else is aware of yet. Headlines. Capitol police officer exonerated in the killing of Ashley Babbitt. Ryan, as you know, Ashley Babbitt was one of the protesters on the January 6th insurrection.
Yeah, that's great. Good. I have 10 minutes on this. Not even what to say. I ran out of stuff to say. Dave's going to talk to us. This might be our shortest podcast. I have nothing left to say.
So, as I had brought up when we had filmed this the first time, I think this, if you were to look back at the George Floyd incident, obviously the media wanted everybody to believe it was black versus white. This is proving that it's really elites versus us, as we had pointed out in the Cuomo resignation celebration special. This is a case of elites versus us. Capitol police officer is going to get off scotch-free in the killing of a protester. And Ryan, why would the media want to set the narrative that it was black versus white? It was racist white police officers.
I don't know, Dave. Why don't you tell me?
Is it perhaps because they wanted to tie Donald Trump into white supremacy, as he was the law and order blue line president?
Fuck! As I said, all right, for real. Dave and I love to do headlines because these things are so simply complex. They tell you a lot about the geopolitical aspect. They tell you a lot about psychology. Like a lot of these things that we see, the way they can... We always talk here at December 1773 about crafting narratives. I mean, fuck. We craft narratives here at December 1773. You know, they're just... We think they're for good. We tell the truth. We want honesty. We want this. We want... Whatever we preach. The point is, like, when we put out information, it's to, like, you know, look, like, there's bullshit here. Like, that's the main crux of this show, is, like, is ripping apart their bullshit. And we said at the time, I don't even think we very rarely covered the insurrection because it was just so crazy. There was always going to be lawsuits. There was always going to be things happening. I mean, we saw people get arrested and their civil liberties violated because they were called terrorists. We now come to find out the January 6th riot had no former planning. The FBI did an investigation, comes back, nothing's there. So the insurrection itself, even labeling it, it's so crazy. The politicians called it the insurrection, right? Nancy Pelosi, the highest level of government. Now, I said on the Cuomo special that if this guy's corrupt, imagine the way down. So Nancy Pelosi, literally up there, calling it an insurrection, all these other things. And obviously insurrection, what do you think about right away? You think about the supremacy of the South. So, like, there's a reason they painted these narratives, like you pointed out, David. And for them to come out and say that it's not that, tie it to Donald Trump, they ban him from social media for life or for however long until his ban comes up, which, if I remember, is right after the midterm elections.
Yeah, very conveniently.
So this is showing this would what Orwell would call doublespeak, and there's a little bit of Overton window, a little bit even. I mean,
yeah, there was no, it wasn't a plot, but we're trying to also be led at the same time that Donald Trump was inciting the violence behind the insurrection.
And to go further, they built a wall around the Capitol. There's a fence there right now still. They needed more guards. And even go further, this is like the whole thing about they were on the amount of Capitol police that were there. They had no warning, and there was different back and forth about that. But to go even further, that this was a planning at the highest levels of the Trump administration to try to sway the election and steal it. How long did we hear that Donald Trump was greasing the skids? He went to courts. I know he had Steve Bannon and the My Pillow guy, I'm pretty sure. But they were going to courts trying to win legal battles. Rudy Giuliani was part of some of those, trying to like get the thing for this mail-in voting shit that they thought they saw coming. So yeah, when Biden won and Trump says, march with me down the street and show them in force that, we think there's something going on here, or we're not happy as Americans. Oh, excuse me, I got the beer.
Peacefully and patriotically, as he said.
Yep, and then it accelerated into people breaking in the Capitol. This is an overthrow. They're trying to overthrow democracy. A peaceful election. It's Donald Trump's fault. It's Alex Jones's fault. It's all these conspiracies. It's Steven Crowder's fault.
It's what's his name from InfoWars' fault.
Yeah, Owen Schroyer was there. They're trying to charge him with capital crimes. But now that it's come out that there was no fucking plot, what are you charging for other than trespassing and a little bit of property damage? Probably under less than $1,000, maybe even $500. Maybe it's so crazy the power they've gone through with like the bail referendum, that they're just letting people go from prison. But these people that break a window, or not saying it's right, but we say all the time, this is doublespeak. The government at the highest levels has shown their hand what they will do when you give them the opportunity. And I also think to some degree, if Trump were to win 2020, which maybe possibly could have won, I wonder if this wouldn't be the end of this. I wonder if this would be an impeachable offense as well. I wonder if this would be another one to get him within a legal impeachment battle. I wonder if this would be used as to paint his supporters as white supremacies, to continually sow the oats of discontent among its people. Trump is a catalyst of people who felt like they were not being represented and disfranchised. They said it at the time, we say it now, and we'll probably say it in the future. So to think that energy, I mean, I know people personally that never gave a fuck about anything till Donald Trump ran. You know what I mean? And I know I referenced it because Cuomo woke me up, so it was cool to see the Trumpkins wake up. But like, dude, like there's a reason people get involved in this. And then when you start actually caring, you start caring about rights, you start caring about more than just your party. Like it's this, I mean, this is the elites versus us. This is why it's so important that you got to pay attention. And you can't give authoritarians more power. I mean, I saw I was told from a family friend, well, he's my mom's boyfriend. Him and I, we sit on different ends of the aisle, so to speak. And he referenced to me, he heard something when he was walking home, podcast, that pissed him off. And he said, I heard a Pew poll, that 48% of Americans think that the government should battle misinformation. Now, misinformation isn't a real thing. It's a political term to begin with. So I looked it up online and I found the actual numbers. And under Donald Trump, people thought that we should have more freedom. In 2018, there was 58% of the people believed that there should be more freedom and the government does not need to be involved in misinformation. And now under the Joe Biden administration, 2021, more people think that the government should be involved with misinformation. And it goes further. They think tech companies should do it too. When tech companies are a big problem we're seeing. And quite honestly, you know, we've referenced here, we'll probably reference this till I die, about the White House combating misinformation with Facebook and social media. That's called Operation Mockingbird to some degree in the 70s and 80s. But with them combating misinformation, it's going to keep growing, this divide. Either people are going to, this is not conducive to good things publicly, because the people that want the government to do it are going to get more and more like, we need more government, and the people that are anti-government are going to keep growing. That's what was so important about them painting it an insurrection, you know, is to divide our people. But they know what they're doing, and they're splitting us, and it's showing in analytical data how people are feeling. I mean, once again, we always heard under Trump that he's doing it to make his friends all better and all this other shit. Well, how do I know social media isn't funding some of these think tanks and some of these polls, or some of these people and trying to influence them to give up more freedom so that they can have more control and authority and access to our data, which doesn't have any protection right now. If we're talking about new Bill of Rights and all this shit. But yeah, this is really indicative of our voting patterns and how we're not the best people, man. It's hard for us to be consistent, and they lied to you for 7 months about something that happened, and you segregated whole sections of your population. You hated your neighbor because they were a Trump supporter because of an insurrection that did not take place.
Yeah, and to just make it full circle, this idea that there was a plot and an insurrection on the Capitol, I would consider that misinformation.
From the government, a politician, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, they were quaking in their boots.
AOC had to go hide in a closet. It was not good times.
Put her mask on for a fucking photo op. And what about the guy, the hero, right? And the guy who, whatever, I know he's a black guy. You know, of course, so he got the medals and propping up a guy, not only who's doing his job and is colored, but they're using him as a political fucking means to make it look like their party is all inclusive and gives a fuck about people they don't give a fuck about. But so they made false heroes about an insurrection that never happened, and esteemed people, and giving you false idols. Thou shalt not worship no false idol. I don't know if that's a Bible line. It sounds good, but
it's very similar to an actual one. I think I'm not religious, but I think it's
no other god before me.
Yeah, something like that. Speaking of other gods, I have back-to-back headlines about the governor of Florida.
The OG Rod Sant.
Headlines: Ron DeSantis signs civic literacy literacy bills requiring students to learn about Constitution and the evils of communism. Headlines: Florida gives school districts 48 hours to reverse mask mandates or lose funding. So this is Ron DeSantis just taking charge.
Yeah, I'm sure this isn't the big government people want, right? This isn't
I don't
the
know,
government.
we should poll them. I guess polls are just going to dictate all policies.
Yeah, this isn't the government control that people want. The entire coronavirus should have been handled a lot similar to this. And then when they had problems, the government could step in. Right?
Well,
the federal government could, I mean, really, this is what it means to be Americanism, man. Like, the ability to choose your rights. Like, we don't empower authoritarians here, and we did under COVID. We allowed it. Quite frankly, it fucked all of our lives up for the rest of our lives and our kids' lives. Like, the stuff that's been done could be irrefutable and unreversible if we're talking climate change numbers. But yeah, him teaching this stuff, I mean, I'm sure this isn't the big government overreach that people want. Oh, hey, here's the power. Let's dissolve some of it and give it back to the people. Let's not make the average law-abiding citizen a criminal in their own town and make them feel like their government hates them or despises them because we don't quite see eye to eye on everything. We're told trust the science. We're told you want to kill grandparents when our government killed grandparents. Apparently, it's an untraceable disease that may or may not have come from a lab, but we're not going to invest money into that to figure it out. But then when it's untraceable, and then the way that we can trace it, it can't tell the difference between the Delta strand, the regular strand, or the flu. We're told to take a vaccine to go back to normal. You take our masks off, and then we're told it's the unvaccinated people, even though fucking a third of Americans have gotten the vaccine, which we're told is the best way to stop this, or social distance. We do all these things, and then you're still calling us bastards. Good for the governor of Florida, like, giving power back to the people in little small bites. This may not be the best way to do it, you know, but he's definitely cutting a lot of fluff, and he's also risking. I know you kind of said when we pre-recorded this that he's like future president mode right now. You know, this is a little reminiscent
of
of
the next. Yeah, he's gonna be.
Yeah, like what Ted Cruz does. You know, like honestly, like not saying that Ted Cruz says this shit because he doesn't believe it, but I know when Ted Cruz is up there and murdering shit, he's like, "This is my presidential speech." That when I'm on the stage, I can point back and be like, "When COVID hit, I gave freedom back to people. I didn't cower to fear. I trusted science and I empowered people to make their own decision." Trump came out this week, even to go further. He said, "I encourage people to take the vaccine." So
that kind of sounds like the way it should be handled. The entire, like, yeah, you should. You know what? You should take it. But it's your choice.
I mean, I know we're comparing it to the flu, or we're not supposed to, but to even go full circle here, my favorite band, Corey Taylor's got COVID now, and he's double vaccinated. He's a breakthrough case, and he said, "I'm very, very sick, but it is the flu, and I feel safe because I'm vaccinated." Great. Pray God, I better be able to see Slipknot. If COVID takes Slipknot from me twice in a row, I will murder every molecule of that fucking virus. But for him to like even get a breakthrough case to begin with, and Joey Jordison died earlier this year, it's like, goddamn, COVID's fucking with my bands, man.
And the original bassist died too, right?
Yeah, from drug overdose a couple of years ago. But yeah, to go full circle, man, like this whole idea of like people are educated. We know what's going on. We know the symptoms. We know what we have. We have all the information and stuff. You have an immune system. They're all like political defenses now, but it's all true. We're told to trust the science. It's all science. At some point, it's all science when we can measure these things in empirical data. So good for Florida standing up. And you asked me when we pre-recorded this that if you think Florida is the new Texas.
If it's the next Texas or the new Texas.
Yeah, and I said I think it's like the new Texas because they're getting these to go to the communism thing. These people that are fleeing into Florida mostly are like from these Caribbean countries that have suffered from communism. Fidel and stuff and everything else in Cuba is a prime example under Kennedy. But yeah, and we can go maybe, I think one time we should do a special because this Afghan thing is going to obviously take flight for a little while, but we should kind of like maybe unclear some of the water with the way we feel about our foreign policy in America. But anyways, they're definitely like getting those transplants, and that's why I think like a whole nother thing of DeSantis is trying to push these people like, look, let's not fucking turn Florida into what you came from.
Right. Which is kind of what Texas does when people come from California and New York.
Yeah, don't Texas.
They gave them Austin. They said, you take this city, but leave the rest of Texas alone. You can have Austin. As long as the state remains red, Austin can be as blue as you want.
Yeah, you move from that line, queer boy, I'll kill you. Jokes. It's fucking jokes. It's fucking jokes. It's a racist Southern Texan. What? I'm just filling the character they gave me. It's a character!
Just so we're clear, YouTube. It was satire. That was a joke. He was playing a character. Had to clear that up.
I don't want the White House to combat misinformation all over here.
This is when the show takes a turn for Ryan misogyny, and then we'll get to a serious thing that Ryan doesn't even know we're going to talk about yet, even though we recorded most of the show already. Headlines. OnlyFans to bar sexually explicit videos starting in October.
Get them Subway applications, honeys. You're going to have to learn to do something. You're going to have to make sandwiches for men all day long, and you can't say a fucking word because you need it to pay your rent.
I want to do, Ryan, we should plan this one day. We'll do an episode where we just
talk shit about girls.
No. That's going to be your show. Where we just, for one day, we switch roles.
What, I pick the headlines?
You come up with the headlines. You run the headline segment. I'll pick Decembertainment and do a little misogyny. I might even do like a Ryan impression. I'll have to work one up.
Yeah, OnlyFans actually wants to make real money and not be known for, I don't know, appeasing whores and loitering to slutty daughters.
Just so people are clear, OnlyFans was not created for women to take their clothes off and get paid. It is not actually why it was. It was actually started for creators to have more interaction with their fan base, which turned into
naked photographs
of girls. Which that's
Hey Dave, quick question. Do you think there's any like fat, successful OnlyFans models?
Ryan, they do it for themselves.
Lizzo, speaking of that, Lizzo broke down this week that I don't know her whole thing. I can't listen to these people, but bitch, you're nasty. Don't think because you can get up there and twerk your fat ass that you think you're something special, because some guy's horny enough to sleep with you. Yeah, I know we're off the rails here, talking like a trash bag. But these trash bags were making thousands and thousands of dollars selling feet pictures and bikini pictures and beef curtain pictures and all sorts of other various positions. I mean, come on. We should slut shame our daughters. I don't want a whore for a daughter. Sorry, that makes me a fucking toxic misogynist man. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. The problem is let's use the left. They're going to find other avenues to go stripping. Okay, that's probably true. In my home state of New York, we decriminalize sex work a little bit. So at least you won't go to jail for getting paid to do your thing. I'm not paying for it. We shouldn't be giving, as gentlemen, we should not be giving women free attention. Pornhub is free. Why would you subscribe to some Instagram thought? 304.
So we now understand this headline, but if you're watching, when you're watching this at your home, try and follow along on the headline, because it is a little wordy and slightly confusing, but we'll break it down here.
It's the most fucking American headline there is.
Sweet home Alabama. Headlines. Homeowner shot defending home from perceived intruder. Reported suspect was wife's lover who had been secretly living in the house for a year. So, a man and a woman are married. The woman has a secret lover living in the house.
Dude, she told me to go downstairs and check that out. Like, oh shit, what is that? Go check that out. All right. Hey, you might want to take your gun with you.
The husband is the one who got shot by the... The husband got shot by the lover.
Dude, I'm telling you, that wife gave that dude the guns. Like, when he comes down, just fucking shoot him. We'll say it was an intruder. We'll collect the life insurance policy, and we'll live together happily ever after in his house that he paid for.
I'm trying to figure out how the husband didn't know there was a guy living in this house for a year. That's the one thing from all of this that I don't understand.
Honey, why is there 3 plates for dinner? Well, you worked so hard, I figured I'd go downstairs and put the leftovers in the fridge down there. What's wrong with the fridge up here? It's, I don't know, ever since you changed the light bulb, it's just not as cold. Dude, I guarantee you, in the middle of the night, she's like, look, just like make a ruckus and I'll have him come downstairs and you can shoot him.
Or were they making a ruckus when he went downstairs?
Yo, could you imagine? Oh my god, he said it. That's for Patreon, which we don't even have. I swear to God, he said I need to take it all off or he's killing us all. I did this for you. Save us. getting her rocks off. God damn, man. The women, I can't, this sounds like hatred, but maybe I'm just like jealous because women play such a long game on men. We're like, you're like, you go do the thing and you're like, fuck, I fucked up. Women are like, nah, I'm gonna fuck this guy over. And they'll like plan a whole year to sleep with your brother or something. Take all your shit. It's like crazy, man. This is like, they'll fuck all your friends and then be like, yeah, well, that one time, and they'll throw it in your face. You gotta respect the game, man. Women are playing a high level game and executing. They're the Buffalo Bills right now in the dating scene. Fuck.
This leads us to
whole year in my house and get fucking shot by the guy. What the fuck? That dude might have known his own house, that dude's house, better than he did. He knows all the hiding spots.
I mean, he was there for a year. He probably knew it pretty well.
Jimmy's home. Hurry. Hide. Where I am. What's out? Well, I see if you're behind the blinds.
This is the only headline that Ryan is not aware of. No, I'm going to say if only they had done this when there was a mandatory buyback that was instituted. Headlines. Hundreds arrested, fined in Australia amid nationwide protests against lockdowns. Australia, they're finally waking up. It's a little too late because, they don't have arms right now, so they can't really do anything about it. Turns out, when you disarm your civilization, you're pretty defenseless. Bend over and take it, Australia.
I just honestly, I'm going to get black paneled, man, by communists one day. I don't know why. Let's be honest here. If people are that pissed, they're going to find ways that we always talk about in the gun culture. Like, they'll use a car and shit. But, dude, it's going to get to that if this shit keeps going. People are going to be getting radicalized. Like that guy that drove up to Joe Biden and said, the South's coming for you. And he was more heavily armed than all the assholes at the insurrection. Yeah, this has been slowly brewing. They said that you can't go outside, you can't do this. The whole nanny state. This is why I don't give a fuck about European countries that listen to royalty. Like, fuck you guys. You guys, they're pretty much fighting the American spirit right now. That whole American spirit of, standing your ground, revolutionary idea of, nah, the government is not going to tell me what to do. That is such a revolutionary idea, man. And it very rarely works in favor of its people. That's why we are in idolization for the world. Which is why we should promote Constitution and stuff like Florida. But I know I went all over the place. But back in Australia, what do people expect? What do you expect? I'm
going to guess they were told similar things to what we were told. They were probably told, 2 weeks, flatten the curve.
Politicians fucking lie. Come on. How many times have we been lied to, depending on Republican, Democrat? We don't get independents, but we're always told of all these lying cocksuckers and how they're trying to engross their family and riches. Why do we think it's going to be any different? Human behavior has not changed for millennia. Why do we think giving politicians power with a smartphone is going to be any different than it was 1,000 years ago when they waged genocide on neighboring tribes? Why do we think it's going to be any different?
That's a good question.
It's painful, man, because they did it with the insurrection. We talked a lot this episode about that because that's a little bit kind of the same idea of what Australian people are going through. Their thing is against the government of dude, what the I'm a free person. These people are really questioning their ability to live their lives peacefully without having to resort to some kind of violence against the people that they elected to keep them safe and to maintain order and keep the lights and the gas bill on. And they slowly, elites versus us, right? They've slowly dissipated that. They slowly spread your wealth out. They slowly closed your businesses. They slowly raised taxes. They slowly had businesses leave and go to other countries that were cheaper. They slowly devalued your wages with artificial inflation of dollars. They've waged endless war, endless debt.
I want to pitch a conspiracy to you. It literally just came to me. So keep in mind, as Ryan knows about my ideas, when they're raw, they're very raw. So Ryan is going to actually hear this theory, and he's going to have to walk me through this.
Okay.
All right. Follow my logic trail.
Okay.
We've talked about on this program Xi Jinping, right? Globalism is inevitable.
Yep.
Okay. We've talked about on this program the idea that COVID was maybe made in a lab leak in China.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're watching countries all over the world strip people of rights for COVID. Okay. So put these three things together. Xi Jinping, right? Follow me. This is conspiracy theory. I just want YouTube, so we're clear. I'm not stating this as fact. I want to put this together, though. Xi Jinping was behind a lab leak to gather world leaders to control population. Control their people, I should say. Not population control as in killing people, but this is early... I'm trying to think how I want to put this here. This is basically just Xi Jinping. Globalism is inevitable. Bringing world leaders and elites together to fight against people.
Look at how easy it is. A little invisible this and that. I said this earlier to my family when remember Christopher Columbus, right? Oh, he put smallpox on blankets and waged biological warfare. Well, what's different?
Keep in mind, when Christopher Columbus waged biological war, it was long before we even had the technology or scientific understanding of viruses.
To prove it. So this is even worse. Okay, I agree with you. This is even worse. This isn't coincidence. I mean, the Suez Canal, when the boat went, how hard is that to engineer? I mean, what the fuck? I mean...
Think of everything that is stemmed from the coronavirus.
It's everything.
Think of how dependent we are on China right now.
It shows how fragile things are. All you gotta do is arm a couple freaking Taliban soldiers in the Middle East, destabilize that. You can start unwinding 20 years of progress. You can speed things up. Joe Biden closes the pipeline, the Keystone Pipeline, which provides Canada as well. Got to go back to OPEC.
Yeah, that's another thing,
too.
Go
back to Russia.
You can tie those two headlines together, too. Biden shuts down an oil pipeline. Tries to pull out with, I mean, literally no planning, just pull straight out of a foreign nation that we've tried to stabilize for 20 years. And shockingly, the Taliban's back.
I mean, keep going, David. We got a border crisis. We got an economic and employment crisis. We have an inflation crisis. We have a housing market crisis. We have all these other crises. And then factor on it that the House is passing all these bills to spend trillions of dollars on infrastructure. Do you think if the government was telling you when and where your business can't sell to, who you can and can't sell to, building Excelsior Pass and selling your data and constricting your freedom of movement, you're telling me that they're just going to allow us to freely travel on the highway? No. You know what infrastructure means? It means toll roads. It means trace. It means tracking. It means digital speed signs so you can never get away. It means instant tickets as soon as you hit 36 miles an hour and a 35 so that they can bleed you fucking dry to pay for the very bureaucracy that they influence you to want. They tell you we need more government resources and funding to take from private people that which the government did not earn and then to control your lives with it. And when we see people in Australia or America fighting their government, we have the audacity to question if this is even worth it. They're like, well, why are they fighting? Of course it's worth it! How often do we hear about tyrants? How often colonialists came here, evil tyrants, enslaved. They demonize America with it. They uproot our finalization of empowering an individual. It was Christians that freed black people. Abolitionists were Christian-funded, like Christian-rooted organizations. Demonize Christ, though. Demonize religion, though. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's not a question if the government has violated our civil liberties and everything else. It's how much are they held accountable and how much have they fucking royally fucked civil liberties. Honestly, when you go against the Constitution, enemies foreign and domestic, it's I don't want to say it's death, but it's treason. I don't think we should keep treasonous people alive if we can prove that they did treasonous acts beyond a reasonable doubt. And the beautiful thing about the Constitution is it's very explicitly laid out. You might have to define some words because they're 17th century texts, but it's very, I mean, you got 10 fingers, you got 10 amendments, there's 10 commandments. This isn't hard. I mean, the 10 commandments, Hammurabi's Code and the fucking Magna Carta are the literal funding blocks of our Constitution. And then they wrote all these very things, wars in the Middle East and all sorts of other things. It's a travesty seeing people around the globe having to fight in the modern era to just go to work and see their friends because they're called COVID massive spreaders and you're trying to kill your family members and strangers. They're guilting us so that the government can gain power. I will not follow science. I will not follow policies that empower authoritarians. And it's a choice we all are going to have to make, and many people are making, such as Australia. Shit like that really, really fucking irks me because especially, this is why I get so hard about guns, people, because if you didn't have guns, you would have to be beating cops with shopping carts to get anything done. You have to drive car. You have to be the lengths of violence you would have to go through. Firearms actually promote a peaceful transition of power in a weird way. Walk softly, carry a big stick. This is why it's so crucial, and you willingly give those up because of something terrible and tragic happens. Freedom is a dangerous thing, man. You notice that suicide bombings don't happen in fucking totalitarianism countries? China isn't reporting massive suicide bombers. No, they attack free people. The Afghans were attacking women and children, going door-to-door searches. Oh, that's weird. Door-to-door searches is prohibited in the Constitution. It's literally fucking explicitly said about unlawful searches and seizures of person, places, and effects. That's weird that our founding fathers literally gave us the thing to fight the very system that is now enslaving part of Afghanistan and raping and murdering women and children, possibly. CNN, oh, they're mostly peaceful. They're just chanting death to fucking America. We're okay with this? But remember that when you see people fighting their own government with their hands. It's fucking ludicrous, man. This is why it's so important. The firearm, this is why I get so impassioned. Like, before it even gets to the gun, I've tried so hard. In Australia right now, it was Ukraine a little while ago. They were getting shot at a few years ago. It was right before Trump. I think it was before Obama left office. They were shooting at their own civilians because these people were protesting for high gas prices. And we're going to trust the very areas that, I mean, they still talk about the prince and the queen. There's royalty. Putin's a dictator, right? Putin's a KGB, a special agent trained in psyops and misinformation campaigns and propaganda. Xi, president for life. The Communist parties of China, People's Republic of China, open communists. We're supposed to trust the parts of the globe Africa's ran by tyrants? We're supposed to trust these people with what we do here? South America's a mess. Communism got to South America before Americans went there. America wasn't waging war in South America, in the Middle East, and all these other places until it was fucked with. I mean, the Truman Doctrine. We're going to fight that. He was a fucking Democrat, if I'm not mistaken. Woodrow Wilson, Democrat. They gave you the fundamentals of the things you bitch about. I don't ever want to hear people complain how bad we got it when people are falling out of airplanes to leave Afghanistan and Australians have to fight their government with their fists just to maybe get some elected representative. This is obvious. The Australian thing is obvious. People have a discrepancy with what the government is doing. And you know what? The government doesn't give a fuck. So how do you make them give a fuck? Well, a 22 would go awfully far right now when you guys are using rocks. Not saying any violence or anything, but just police, once again, use their... They say if you see an armed police officer or armed security or security guards, you're more likely to not have trouble. It's the optics of strength. Well, our people need to be educated because they're not educating us, in school. So we gotta, whatever. I could go all day about this Australian thing. It's tragic. I hope these lockdowns end, whether or not the Delta variant rips through all the countries. At some point, I said this: with where we are right now, I think we might have been better off just trying to let COVID work its way through.
Oh.
And maybe do regional lockdowns or regional quarantines. So then it could be 2 weeks, right? It would just slowly. I know this is a perfect world. I'm painting fairy tales, and it's Pandora's box. So this is easy for me to say, and I'm not throwing stones in the glass house. But I mean, at some point, once again, we empowered authoritarianism to a level that has not been seen in almost 100 years in Nazi Germany, or Mussolini Italian, or the current communist regime of North Korea. So, and to think that I got an argument with somebody on Facebook. I am not allowed to comment for 2 days because I told the guy to jump off a bridge. But but I keep commenting. You guys are serving soft serve communism. You don't understand communism. Yeah. No, I don't. I don't care about definition. I know what happens when you give people power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Doesn't matter about ideology. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat. Doesn't matter if you're socialist, Democrat, or constitutional republic. It can all go away with authoritarianism. You don't. Authoritarianism and a president for life is basically royalty. I will not listen to these shithole countries all over the world that just got rid of all these tyrant-stricken, oppressive regimes, and then they're going to lecture me what we do here in America when we set the standards. We set the standards for freedom and liberty and individualism. Not that it wasn't England that gave you individual liberty. It was America that gave you that idea. So I know it's a loop, but this is fucking terrible. Honestly, I think we're gonna see some of this shit come to America, and it's not gonna. It's gonna be.
Well, I mean, it
might be a real insurrection. Yeah, it might be a real insurrection. That's really what I'm saying. People I know aren't gonna keep going to work. So.
Well, that's all I had, anyway.
I got a Decembertainment for you.
I think so. I've said this before, and this is, I think, part of the point of it. But I think the reason I like Decembertainment so much is because how quickly you can go from where you just were to talking about whatever you're just going to talk about. It's like a total.
Yeah, it might be a little bipolar. It's okay.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I get so pissed off, like, oh, and then like, hey, this weekend I went down to Decembertainment. I went camping this weekend. I told you guys last weekend about it. I got super sunburned. My grandmother turned 80. Fucking awesome with that. And something, we were playing Can Jam.
Yeah, that's a solid game.
Solid game. It was created in North Tonawanda. Did you know that?
I did know that. I knew that from somebody I worked with at Basel who went to school with the teacher who created it. I think he was like a science teacher or something. Yeah,
it was very cool. So we played a lot of that, and I drank a lot of beer. But something I was like really running through with my family was like I never really knew my grandfather. He passed before I was really even born. My dad has a lot of whatever. I won't get there. That's for another podcast. But the whole point is like I really was like really looking around and admiring my family and being a lot like heavily grateful for it, because it's crazy what two people can build, man. Like my grandmother and my grandfather, basically everybody that was at the party was tied to those two people. And I looked at my grandmother, I was like, Grandma, do you realize that there's like 1,000 years of our family right now? If you were to take all of our ages and add them up together, there'd be like 1,000 years of my family. It's fucking awesome, man. It's like, that's the shit I really appreciate, especially in these times when, we do this as a hobby and mostly to get some steam off, because some of these headlines that we cover are stressful. It's hard to rationalize and process this, man. It makes me ever more grateful for my family. And knowing that the things I have are easily, they're easily forgettable. And it's not because I don't remember them. It's just because you can be so distracted with everything else that you forget to narrow in on the things that are important. People always say family is important. It sounds corny, but it's so true, man. Like, to just think my grandmother, the process, the stories I've been told, basically all the people that built me my entire life were at this camping party. We had an awesome time and grilled out outside at one of the state parks and, laughed, and nobody was on their phones really. It was none of that. It was just family time, and like, especially things this week. I don't want to go back into our segments, but the Afghanistan thing, like a lot of people, there's a lot of perspective to learn from how easy we have it and how easily it can all be taken from you, or how one sickness in the family can remove literally rungs and rungs of ladders of memories. You know, if my grandmother died 20 years ago, she wouldn't be here to have, you know what I mean? Like, it's stupid, but it's so true. Like, it makes me feel ever more grateful to know that, like, you know, I'm in the right place at the right time, and I'm cherishing those moments. So my Decembertainment this week is just, I was highly grateful, highly family, and I hope everybody is feeling that, you know, like, for real. I hope everybody is grateful, and I'm gracious that people turn in. And this is Dave and Ryan from December 1773. Thank you if you made it to the end. Like, comment, subscribe. We're on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube. Leave a comment. That's our most important thing, is comment and engagement. We drop every night at 7 o'clock Eastern on Mondays. And behind the scenes, even one more quick, Dave and I might be able to pump out more content. I'm going through a little bit of a job change right now, which will probably be part of my Decembertainment in the near future, because I'm learning a new skill. So I'm super excited about that. I got an electrician job, which is something I've been trying very hard for very long.
That was a previous Decembertainment too.
Yeah, when the union told me to fuck off with, you need to go get, fuck you, man. But yeah, so I'm actually going to work a day job, which is something I've not done in many years. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be able to establish more of a ritual and routine. So might be able to drop content a little bit more frequent. But you're only going to know that if you pay attention and subscribe and like and follow and tell people about us. December 1773. Dave and I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you all. I will see you for the premiere on Monday. And until next week. Thank you, David.
Sounds good. Thank you.
It wasn't bad for a second run, but...
No. Yeah. That's the kind of mistake you make once.
Yeah, unlike me not plugging in my laptop.
So I know we're wrapped up here and we're doing the end, but so we filmed like 30 something minutes of episode, and I looked in the bottom corner and I went, shit, we are not recording. And I really didn't even have to say anything. As soon as I looked down and looked up, Ryan's like, we're not recording, are we?
Yeah, it gives me a little bar on my screen, so I kind of noticed. I didn't pay attention. What was killer is because we were like killing it. And I do got to say props to Dave and I, not to beat my own chest, but I like to do it. But we kind of actually reset everything kind of well. So let us know what you think. Till next time. Thanks, Dave.
See ya, everyone. Thanks.
Go Bills.